Definitely, in the last year, I've heard so much about Crayola Supertips to rival the other pens on the market for brush and calligraphy lettering. Hello everyone, I'm Rida from Honeydew Journal. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing this wonderful set of 100 pens by Crayola. Unlike other Supertips sets, the 100 pack bears a striking resemblance to Crayola's classic crayon packaging. It says for all those who are 3 plus. Back of the box promises 100 colors and shows color swatches. Although I've learned that with inexpensive markers you can never trust the swatches on the box or the color of the cap. Always find out firsthand. So for that purpose, I'll be swatching all the colors in two different ways. One, a basic swatch with names, and the other one would be hand lettering. And lastly, I'll be testing their size of strokes, shape of their nibs, and a short comparison with Tombow dual brush pen and Zebra mildliners. The interior of the box features 4 cardboard shelves that hold 2 rows of markers each. The cardboard sections are a lighter weight than the box. While they work fairly well, if you pull several markers from a section, the rest will shift around, making it awkward to return the used markers to the section. Well, that's a drawback of such packaging. I bought this 100 pack from Daraz Toys Place store in a reasonable price, but they're not so cheap here in Pakistan. I mean, if I compare their price to Tombow dual brush pens, then I'd say it's way cheaper, but otherwise you have to pay thousands of rupees to buy them. The Supertips are washable, non-toxic and long-lasting. Plus they have such a wide range of colors which made me want to buy them even more. Once a marker is removed from its place, it's very easy to lose its place and move the other pens around freely. These pens are quite handy and easy to use for the toddlers. Its water solubility makes it easier for all the moms out there to keep everything tidy, It washes off from skin and most clothing with no scratchy feel. They have a very smooth sense of touch and has this unique slant edges. Their non-toxicity ensures that it contains no non-toxic substances in sufficient quantities to be harmful to the human body, even if ingested or inhaled. I'm unpacking all the pens from the shelves, to arrange them correctly in accordance to their colors. But there is an issue as markers caps are not always indicative of markers color, and marker colors are not labeled in any way. So swatching and color ordering becomes difficult. I'm gonna quickly arrange them around the edges of my table, beginning from black to all the gray, and then the browns converging into beige, then pinks from light to dark ones, which would then shift to all the purples, then the bright reds, which would help me move toward all the oranges, then yellows, after that all the greens from pales to darker ones. Then I'll be finally shifting from greens to all the shades of blues. Crayola Supertips feature a versatile tip that draws both thick and thin lines in one go. Each of the 100 markers is a different color. In some cases, the color is basically a lighter tint of another color, but in many cases there are subtle differences. We'll find out more once we swatch them. I took help from YouTube and many different blog posts on Google to identify and verify all the names of the colors. I've already done the swatches in my rough journal to denote their names accurately. So I'm gonna be taking help from this. And I'll be using these A4 white chart paper sheets for both the swatches neatly. I'll be using my Sakura mechanical pencil with lead size 0.7 mm and this 1 foot long metal ruler to create the grid for swatches on these sheets. I designed 6 columns and 8 rows on each side of the sheet, given that the size of each box is 3 by 3 centimeters in square shape, to swatch and write the names of the colors below it. I've used black color from Lyra fiber tips pens to write down all the names of the colors on my swatch sheet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and speed through the swatch section, then get back to you guys. Alright then, let's get started. here's all the colors swatched out. And I think the colors are so vibrant and are definitely true to the packaging, which sometimes is not the case. Swatching reveals that this set includes several distinct greens, a handful of good purples, and even a selection of warm and cool grays, unusual for Crayolas. While there doesn't seem to be a wide array of skin tones as the multicultural set offers, there seems to be more skin tones available in the 50 pieces Supertips set. One of the markers is a metallic silver, which is kind of interesting, but it is generally a grey tone which dulls out other colors it is mixed with. These markers are juicy right out of the box. That means that they scribble very nicely. I do have a love-hate affair with certain colors, though, because the box colors separate out when used with water for blending. Although I'm still so new to the whole concept of brush lettering and calligraphy, I'm still practicing and in the beginner stages. But even then, I'm gonna swatch these pens again using hand lettering, so I shifted towards a fresh sheet, grabbed my pencils and ruler and began creating another grid for the second swatch. This time as well, I'm gonna quickly time-lapse the swatch portion for all of you to enjoy. So I'll get back to you in a bit. These pens make it easy to practice my lettering, using the side of the pen for larger downward strokes and the tip of the pen for the upward thinner strokes because they are easy and lightweight to use. The bleeding and ghosting is practically non-existent. This is so good as it can be frustrating when the ghosting is prominent on the following page. I didn't see much difference between the color of the caps and its actual shade except for 1 or 2 pens maybe, so I'll count that as nothing out of 100 pens. I've been using them for a month and now I just love using Crayola Supertips for coloring because they're very good for all the details work. None of the colors are similar to each other or repetitive, which is great I think. All the colors have their separate hues, they're gorgeous. I've swatched the pens with their names because I have got to mention them in my videos and their description boxes. For the time being, I'm arranging the Supertips in the same order as my swatches in its cardboard shelves. But I know this isn't gonna work, so I'll be buying this 120 slots colored pencil case soon to arrange them in it accordingly. Now let's compare the Crayola Supertips with other pens. I have the Tombow Dual Brush Pen Celebration Pack of 10 and Zebra Mildliners in cool and refined and warm color sets. Both tombows and mildliners are dual-tipped and have hard plastic envelope case. Their barrels feature information about color names and numbers and has indicators for both the nibs. Both of them has a small bullet nib, and on the other end for tombows is a large Japanese brush. For mildliners I have the chisel tip one. Both have the same colored bullet nibs cap as the body of pen, and both their caps are capable of posting on both ends. The brush and chisel tip ends has a cap that is an indicator of roughly the color of ink inside them. Both of them are non-toxic and acid-free. Acid-free means that it would not eat up the paper after a long time of use. Whereas when we see Crayola Supertips, their bodies are plain, white plastics embossed with a silver Crayola Supertips stamp, a colored cap, and a colored button end. They do not display color name or any color information which would have been helpful. Crayolas has a single conical tip. I mean, if you're coloring a large space that includes a lot of small details, you may find it difficult to use the Crayola Supertips. The nib is small. The widest mark you can make is still very small compared to the marks you could make with a Tombow dual brush pen, and the barrel is also smaller. The cap indicates the color of the marker, although it slightly differs from its actual color inside. Only the open side of cap gets posted on the back easily because of its slant edges, which actually kind of makes it easier to hold. It is non-toxic but not acid-free, which means it could dry out faster. Talking about the packaging, so the plastic sleeves of both tombows and mildliners hold up better by keeping them in place, avoid wear and tear, and you can see the markers through it, which is definitely not the case for Crayola Supertips. For layering, I think Crayola Supertips works perfectly fine for flat colors, and you can occasionally add an additional layer of color to it. This is because Crayolas are water-based markers which uses water as a binder and takes a while to dry. I mean, if you try to apply another layer too soon, the paper will start to pill. Now let's talk about blending. Crayolas either can be blended with water, or best type of blending occurs if you transfer inks through their tips to one another, just the way I did to write the word fantastic. These actually blend better than a lot of watercolor markers or brush pens. This type of blending is called streaking, with light and dark tone shades, plus the pointy conical shape of tip is beneficial for leaving a highlight in your lettering. Speaking of which, I find hand lettering with Crayola Supertips much easier because of its stiff nib, unlike the soft and flexible brush nibs. It gives me much smoother strokes and strong control, varying the thickness of strokes and adjusting the heights of my letters. I wish marker companies would just give us two brushes, a big one and a small one, but I'm probably spoiled. I just hate bullet nibs. For me, they are hardly of any use. As a beginner and new to hand lettering, I've only learned the basics yet, and I'm excited to acquire skill in different styles and fonts which other people have been doing. I'm looking forward to using these colors in my monthly and weekly bullet journal spreads. If you are looking for pens to help you get started in calligraphy or brush lettering, these are the inexpensive and appropriate option for you. So if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe my channel. See you guys in my next video.